$2.3 billion in car deals hit the market in October, and dealers are bleeding money so fast to move inventory that if you're thinking about buying a car, this could either save you $20,000 or trap you in the biggest financial mistake of your life. Right now, while you're watching this video, car dealers across America are offering discounts so massive they're literally losing money on every single vehicle they sell. We're talking about $15,000 off trucks, $12,000 off SUVs, and lease deals that make absolutely no financial sense for anyone except desperate dealers. Meet Tom, a mechanic from Ohio who walked into a Chevy dealership last week looking for a basic work truck. The sales manager practically begged him to take a $65,000 Silverado for $43,000. That's $22,000 off sticker price. Plus, they threw in free maintenance for 3 years. Tom thought he'd won the lottery, but he had no idea what was really happening. Because this isn't just about generous dealers or seasonal sales. This is about a complete inventory crisis that's forcing dealers to choose between bleeding money on every sale or going bankrupt from interest costs on cars nobody wants. But here's what Tom and millions of other buyers don't understand. When dealers are this desperate to dump inventory, there's usually a reason those cars aren't selling. And that reason could cost you thousands more than any discount could ever save. The question isn't whether you can get an incredible deal right now, it's whether you'll know the difference between a genuine bargain and a financial trap disguised as the deal of a lifetime. Interest rates on car loans haven't just crept up, they've exploded. In 2019, the average new car loan carried an APR between 2 and 3%. That meant a $40,000 truck cost about $700 a month with good credit, and buyers barely noticed the interest on their paperwork. Fast forward to October 2025, and the story flips. Most banks and captive lenders are quoting 6 to 7%, even on standard 5-year terms. For a middle-class family looking to finance a $60,000 SUV, that's not just a minor bump. It's a jump of $120, $180, sometimes $250 more per month just to drive the same car off the lot. Over the life of the loan, the difference isn't pocket change, it's thousands of dollars, money that used to go toward groceries, rent, or a college fund, now swallowed by the bank. For anyone with less than perfect credit, the pain cuts deeper. Subprime borrowers are staring down 9, 10, even 12% rates if they can get approved at all. The math gets ugly fast. A $43,000 Silverado, like the one Tom nearly drove home, racks up more than $8,000 in interest over 6 years at today's rates. That's before you factor in taxes, fees, and the brutal depreciation that starts the minute you sign the papers. Floating rate loans, once a rare gimmick, are showing up again as desperate dealers try to push buyers over the line. But these loans carry a hidden time bomb. If the Fed raises rates, your payment can jump without warning, trapping families in contracts they can't afford to escape. The sticker price might look like a victory, but the fine print tells a different story. Dealers aren't just bleeding on discounts, they're passing the pain straight to the people who can least afford it. Every point the rate climbs is another dollar out of the pockets of working Americans, and another reason why so many so-called deals end up costing more than anyone bargained for. Every unsold car on a dealer's lot isn't just collecting dust, it's burning cash, day after day. The numbers aren't small. For a $40,000 sedan, the daily carrying cost runs about $7.90. That's not just interest on floor plan loans, it's insurance, property tax, depreciation, and the cost of tying up capital that could be used somewhere else. Let a car sit for a month, and the tab hits $237. 2 months, $474. Stretch it to 4 months, and that so-called asset has cost nearly $1,000 just to park in the sun. The pain climbs fast as you move up the price ladder. A $60,000 SUV drains $11.85 a day, $356 in a single month, $713 if it lingers for 60 days. High-end models are even worse. An $80,000 luxury car racks up $15.80 every day, adding up to $950 in just 2 months. If a dealer can't move a slow-selling Jaguar or Maserati for 10 months, that one car alone has cost almost $5,000 in carrying costs before a single dollar of profit is made. Multiply that by dozens or even hundreds of units, and the bleeding becomes impossible to ignore. Dealers with lots packed full of slow movers, think Dodge Hornet, Volkswagen Taos, Genesis G80, or the infamous Jaguar F-Pace at a 321-day supply, are watching their profit margins get eaten alive by the calendar. Every day a car sits unsold, the dealer's break-even price rises. To clear out aging inventory, they're forced to slash prices, pile on incentives, and sometimes sell below cost just to stop the financial hemorrhage. This is why the so-called deal of the century often comes with a catch. Dealers aren't giving away money out of kindness. They're racing the clock against a daily drain that turns every unsold car into a liability. For the middle-class buyer, those deep discounts might look like a win, but behind every bargain, there's a dealer accountant staring at a spreadsheet, calculating how much more they'll lose if that car sits one more week. 0% financing is the headline that pulls buyers off the fence. Ram's 0% APR for 72 months on the 1500 isn't just rare, it's a financial weapon. On a $60,000 truck, the difference between a typical 6% loan and Ram's offer adds up to more than $11,500 in interest saved over 6 years. That's not a rounding error. That's the price of a used Civic, wiped off your bill just for signing at the right moment. BMW's finance arm is dangling 1.99% on the X3 and X7, a deal that would have been unthinkable for luxury buyers a year ago. Mazda's 1.9% on the CX-50 puts a family SUV within reach for buyers who would normally be priced out by the monthly payment alone. These offers sound like free money, but nothing in this business comes without a catch. The automakers aren't offering these rates out of generosity. They're writing checks to their own finance companies to buy down the rates, all to keep inventory moving and factories humming. Every point they shave off the APR is money out of the manufacturer's pocket, not the dealer's. That's why you're not seeing Ford or GM matching Ram's 0% offer. They can't afford it. And neither can most brands outside of a full-blown clearance panic. For buyers, the pitch is simple. Lock in a payment that looks manageable, ignore the sticker shock, and drive away feeling like you beat the system. But the fine print matters. These subvented rates usually come with limited availability, strict credit requirements, and sometimes force you to give up other cash incentives. The finance arms behind these deals, Chrysler Capital, BMW Financial, Mazda Capital, are betting you'll take the bait, sign up for a longer term, and maybe add on overpriced extras to pad their margins. The math is seductive. On paper, a 0% loan lets you keep thousands in your wallet. But the real winners are still the finance companies and automakers who use these offers to move metal, clear out last year's models, and reset the clock on their own balance sheets. In a market where every dollar counts, low APR deals look like a lifeline for the middle class, but they're also the sharpest tool left in the corporate toolbox to keep the wheels turning. Infiniti isn't just dangling keys, they're writing checks. The QX50 and QX55 now come with up to $6,500 in cash on the hood, and the QX80, a $10,000 bonus just to get it off the lot. For a luxury brand, that's not a sweetener. That's a distress signal. Down the street, Buick's $279 lease on the Invista is a deal that makes accountants sweat. 24 months, almost nothing down, and a payment that barely covers the depreciation. These aren't the kind of numbers that keep a dealership in business. They're loss leaders, pure and simple. The goal isn't profit, it's survival. Behind every giant cash rebate or bargain lease sits a marketing executive with a spreadsheet. praying the volume will bail them out before the board starts asking questions. The bonuses aren't just about moving metal. They're about hitting quotas, unlocking factory kickbacks, and clearing enough space for next year's models. But here's the catch. When the deals get this wild, the risks don't just fall on the automaker. They land squarely in the lap of the buyer. Lease subsidies look like easy money, but the devil hides in the fine print. When a car's residual value is pumped up to make a payment look cheap, someone eats the loss at lease end, and that someone can end up being you. If the market tanks, or the model gets discontinued, you're stuck with a buyout that's thousands more than the car's worth. On the cash side, the more desperate the bonus, the bigger the red flag. A $10,000 rebate isn't a gift. It's a warning that dealers can't move the car any other way. The big brands want you to believe you're beating the system. In reality, they're offloading the risk. For every family that drives off thinking they scored, there's another learning the hard way that a massive discount can come with hidden costs, sky-high insurance, brutal depreciation, or a lease trap with no escape. When the people at the top start throwing money at the problem, it's not out of generosity. It's because they know the clock is ticking, and the only way out is to pass the pain on to someone else. Walk onto any dealer lot this October, and a handful of models seem to vanish before the banners even go up. These aren't the cars with the biggest discounts or the flashiest ads. They're the ones with lines out the door and waiting lists that stretch weeks. On paper, the numbers look almost impossible. Subaru Solterra, gone in 15 days. Honda, Prologue, 17 days. Toyota Camry, just 19 days. Even the Volkswagen ID.4 and Audi Q4 e-tron, both electric, are snapped up in 3 weeks or less. For buyers, it feels like a feeding frenzy. No haggling, no last-minute deals, just a race to sign before someone else does. But this isn't natural demand. The real driver is a ticking clock. The federal EV tax credit set to expire. Dealers and manufacturers know exactly what they're doing. They pair the countdown with an extra layer of incentives, stacked rebates, subvented leases, and a push to get every eligible car out the door before the window slams shut. The result? Models that sat ignored for months are suddenly the hottest ticket in town, with some buyers willing to pay over sticker just to grab the last tax-credited unit. The EV rush spills into gas models too, as shoppers who miss out on an electric turn to whatever's left. That's why Toyotas and Hondas, always in short supply, move even faster. For discontinued models like the Chevy Malibu, the clock runs out for good. Once the last car leaves the lot, there's no restock, no second chance. Dealers hold firm on price, knowing someone will pay it. For the average buyer, the story is simple. If you want a Solterra, a Camry, or a Prologue, don't expect a miracle deal. The leverage is gone. Every day you wait, your odds shrink and your choices dry up. The real winners are the automakers, who use the tax credit deadline and fake scarcity to keep prices high and discounts low. They set the rules, they control the timing, and the working class buyer is left scrambling for leftovers. The only thing moving faster than these cars is the money flowing straight back to the corporate balance sheet. Dealerships aren't just fighting the clock. They're staring down a wall of metal that nobody wants. The slow movers, the ones eating up space and cash, are hiding in plain sight. Jaguar F-Pace, 321 days worth of unsold stock. Maserati Grecale, 304 days. Dodge Hornet, 244 days. Volkswagen Taos, 220. Genesis G80, Subaru WRX, Audi A4, Alfa Romeo Stelvio, each one a financial anchor chained to the showroom floor. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. Every extra day means another hit to the dealer's bottom line, another reason the sales manager is ready to wheel and deal like never before. Walk into a store with one of these long-haul models, and the game flips. The dealer knows you've got the upper hand. They're not just willing to negotiate, they're desperate. 10% off sticker? That's the starting point. Push harder, and you might see 12–15%, sometimes even more if the car's been collecting dust since last Christmas. It's not just about moving metal, it's about survival. The longer these cars sit, the more they bleed. Insurance, interest, property tax, and lost opportunity. They pile up until the only way out is to cut the price and hope someone bites. It's not just luxury brands feeling the pain. Volkswagen's Taos and Audi's A4 are stuck on lots from coast to coast. Genesis G80s, loaded with tech and leather, can't find homes even with deep discounts. Dodge Hornet, pitched as the next big thing, is now the king of the clearance rack. The pattern is clear. European badges, premium crossovers, and anything that missed the latest trend are now liabilities, not assets. Step onto the lot, mention you're looking at a slow seller, and watch the general manager's posture change. Suddenly, you're not just a customer. You're the solution to a problem that's costing them hundreds, sometimes thousands, every week. But these deals don't last forever. Lenders are watching too. Once a car crosses the 180-day mark, the bank starts asking questions. At 210 days, the pressure ramps up. Dealers know that if they don't move the metal now, they risk losing their credit line altogether. That's why the best negotiation power belongs to the buyer who knows which models are stuck in inventory purgatory. The dealer's pain is your leverage. If you're willing to hunt for the right car and drive a hard bargain, October's overstock crisis can put thousands back in your pocket. Just remember, when the price drops this far, there's always a reason. The real winners are the ones who walk out with both a deal and their eyes wide open. Confidential memos started landing in dealer inboxes like warning shots. One from a major national lender, dated April 2025, spelled out the new rules in black and white. Cars sitting longer than 210 days would have to be paid off in full before any new credit would be extended. No exceptions, no appeals. For dealers already drowning in slow-selling inventory, it was like the bank had slammed the vault shut and tossed them the bill. The old grace periods, 180, 240, even 365 days, were gone. Now, if a dealer's lot had more than 30% of vehicles over 180 days old, the lender could freeze the entire floor plan. That meant no new cars, no cash to pay vendors, and no way out except to dump inventory at any price the market would bear. The numbers behind those memos read like a countdown to disaster. Jaguar F-Pace, 321 days unsold. Maserati Grecale, 304 days. Dodge Hornet, 244 days. At those ages, every car is a liability, not an asset. Lenders see them as dead weight dragging down the collateral value that backs every dollar on the dealer's credit line. If too many units cross that invisible line, the whole store's financial health is called into question. The bank's next move is swift. Demand immediate paydowns, suspend new advances, and sometimes send auditors to count every key in the safe. For the general manager, it feels like the walls are closing in. One day, the sales team is pushing 10% off to move a stubborn Genesis G80. The next, the controller gets a call from the lender's risk officer, asking why half the lot is over 200 days old. The answer doesn't matter. The only thing that counts is the coverage ratio, the value of the cars on the lot versus the balance owed to the bank. When that ratio slips below the lender's comfort zone, the hammer falls. Some dealers scramble to wire cash from personal accounts just to keep the doors open. Others start calling wholesalers, auctioning off cars for 50 cents on the dollar, praying to clear enough space to get the credit line turned back on. The mechanics are brutal. Floor plan lenders don't care about the stories behind the cars. They see risk, and they move to protect themselves. If a dealer can't pay, the lender can repossess every unsold vehicle, leaving nothing but empty pavement and a pile of bills. That's not a scare tactic. It's written into every floor plan agreement in the country. The only thing standing between a dealer and disaster is the speed at which they can sell, settle, and cycle inventory. When that cycle breaks, the fallout spreads fast. In June, a Midwest dealer group watched its credit line vanish overnight after a routine review found too many cars over 210 days old. Within a week, the group was liquidating stock at massive losses, laying off staff, and calling competitors to buy them out before the bank could seize the assets. Stories like this aren't rare. They're the new reality for anyone carrying too much dead inventory in 2025. The memo isn't just a piece of paper. It's a loaded gun pointed at the heart of every dealership that let the clock run out. For working families, these backroom battles are invisible. But every time a dealer slashes another $8,000 off a luxury SUV or offers a lease deal that makes no sense on paper, it's a sign of the pressure building behind the scenes. The people at the top, lenders, automakers, corporate finance arms, set the rules and pull the strings. Dealers are left scrambling to keep up, and buyers are caught in the crossfire, never quite sure if they're getting a deal or walking into a trap. The only certainty is that when the credit lines start to dry up, the real pain isn't just in the boardroom. It hits the whole community, from the sales floor to the service bay and straight into the heart of Main Street. Storefronts that once buzzed with weekend test drives now sit locked and silent, their lots half filled with cars no one can afford, and banners that promise deals no one trusts. In 2025, the auto industry's crisis isn't just measured in dollars lost or cars unsold. It's written in the empty parking spots on Main Street and the shuttered service bays that used to anchor local economies. 1 in 3 dealerships faces the real possibility of closing within the year. That's not a projection from Wall Street analysts or a scare headline. It's the lived reality for thousands of families whose livelihoods depend on these stores. Martinez Chrysler served its town for nearly half a century. 48 years of birthday balloons, holiday parades, and generations of mechanics, salespeople, and office staff who counted on a steady paycheck and a sense of belonging. In June, the doors closed for good. 42 jobs vanished overnight. The service manager, who started sweeping floors as a teenager, packed up his toolbox and left the only place he'd ever worked. The receptionist, who used to greet every customer by name, filed for unemployment. The local diner lost its lunch crowd. The Little League team lost its sponsor. The ripple spread outward, touching families, suppliers, and every small business that orbited the dealership's gravitational pull. This isn't just about one store. Across the country, rows of unsold cars spill out onto side streets, while inside, managers weigh impossible choices. Payroll or property tax. Keep the lights on or pay the floor plan lender. The math doesn't add up. Operating expenses, property, insurance, payroll, digital marketing keep climbing, even as gross margins per car collapse. Some dealers slash prices and hope to make it up in volume. Others pray for a miracle from the automaker, a bonus, or a last-minute incentive. But for many, the only option left is to lock the doors and walk away. When a dealership closes, the impact doesn't stop at the front desk. Local parts suppliers lose their biggest customer. Detailers, tow truck drivers, and body shops see business dry up. Charities and school programs that relied on dealership sponsorships face shortfalls. Even the city budget takes a hit as sales tax revenue from new car sales disappears. For buyers, the loss is personal. Fewer local options mean less competition, higher prices, and longer drives for service. The promise that a big corporate brand will step in and fill the gap rarely matches reality. Most of the time, the building sits empty, a reminder of what used to be. The headlines talk about $2.3 billion in deals, but the real cost is paid by the people left behind. The mechanic who can't find work because every shop in town is flooded with applicants. The single mom who counted on a flexible receptionist job to cover her rent. The high school grad whose first real paycheck came from washing cars after class. They're the ones who feel the pain of every closing, every layoff, every lost sale. The big brands may write off the losses and move on, but communities can't. Every shutdown is a small unraveling of the fabric that holds towns together. As more stores go dark, the balance of power shifts even further away from ordinary people. The fewer dealerships left, the less choice buyers have, and the easier it is for the big automakers and lenders to set the rules. The deals might look better than ever on paper, but the reality for working families is a world with fewer options, less support, and more uncertainty. The numbers in the headlines won't show it, but the real loss can be measured in closed doors, empty lots, and the quiet that settles over streets where business used to thrive. In October 2025, U.S. car dealers slashed $2.3 billion in prices and incentives, a sum verified by manufacturer disclosures and dealership records. The data reveals a market torn in two. While select models like the Subaru Solterra and Toyota Camry vanished from lots in under 3 weeks, others, such as the Jaguar F-Pace and Dodge Hornet, sat unsold for over 300 days, forcing steep discounts and urgent sales tactics. Manufacturer memos confirm that these cut-rate deals are driven by soaring floor plan interest rates and aging inventory, not generosity. Yet, the true long-term impact remains uncertain. 1/3 of stores could close, as seen with the Martinez Chrysler shutdown. What's still unknown is how quickly lenders will pull support and whether future incentives will match today's extremes. For now, the evidence is clear. These historic deals are the result of financial stress, not a newfound fairness. When car companies bleed, it's the middle-class buyer who must read the fine print or risk paying the price.